Happy Thursday, everyone. Mrs. Dobbs here. I apologize because my Chromebook is still waking up a little bit as it's loading the lesson for today. Unfortunately, I am still at home, not feeling well. I went to the doctor yesterday. I'm waiting on my results. I will say my twin sister went through something very similar, and it just turned out to be bad allergies. So we're hopeful it's the same thing for me. But just to be safe, I'm going to stay home until I get a negative test result. Um, but nothing could stop me from continuing our lessons with character work, and I am really excited about this one today. So, to get ready for that, I have a couple of wizard moves I want you to make right now. Get your notebook out and your fiction novel. I had a couple of students ask me if they could use an actual physical notebook instead of the digital notebook. I'm 100% okay with that. If that works easier for you, go for it, okay? You can just do screenshots of your notebook, and I'll show you in today's examples. I pulled some of my notebooks from the past 2 years. For those of you who are using a digital or a paper planner, go ahead and fill in your learning target and your essential question. So our learning target today is I can understand that characters are complex and learn to analyze the less likable traits of characters. Our essential question to ask ourselves, how can I analyze characters objectively? So, readers, today I want to teach you that it's easy to sympathize or feel sorry for the protagonist, the main character, and want to defend them. Perceptive readers, though, realize that complex characters, just like real people, have parts of them that are less likable. This is especially true of the characters that we're rooting for. They are going to have less likable traits. So, for example, my husband Matthew is the most thoughtful, sincere, funny, caring person I've ever met. If we're ever driving in the car and someone's car is broken down, he always offers to pull over and help them. He'll just find things when he, especially pre-COVID, like if he was at the store and he sees something and it reminds him of you, he'll get it and he'll just leave it there for you. Or he'll come bring it, like on your lunch break. He's the most thoughtful person. He's great with kids. He's so funny. He knows probably every fact about Texas, the history of Texas, and also when we watch movies or listen to music, I swear he could play Jeopardy or like a trivia game show and win because he knows all the little trivia. However, Matthew, as much as he's my favorite person, he also has less likable traits. He's an old man when it comes to technology. Technology is really hard for him and he gets really worked up. He also can be really critical sometimes, especially of trying new things, and I am the opposite of that. He also can be really skeptical sometimes, and sometimes he can just be a little bit cranky. So, you may have done this with our character, Mercy. So, at the beginning of the week, we were reading Soul Painting Inc. And I really want to believe in her dream of running her dad's business, but I'm so focused on that maybe I'm ignoring some of her other behaviors. So I'm going to pause and think with the lens or the focus of, are there any parts of Mercy that are less likable? So just like what I shared with Matt, Matt has so many great qualities, but he's complex. He's a human being. He has less likable traits just like I do, just like you do. That's what makes us human. So authors give even the main character or the protagonist who you're rooting for, they're going to have less likable traits because that's what makes them human. So if I'm thinking back on Soul Painting Inc., I loved how much of an entrepreneur she was. She was so ambitious. But I keep thinking about that part where Mercy doesn't want to talk about her fears of Donna Rose's ghost. And then she lies about not being scared. I mean, I get it. She was embarrassed and didn't want to show weakness. But wait, now I feel like I'm defending her lying and her having to put on a brave front even for those closest to her. I feel like that might mean she will have a hard time with tough times. So this is important because I want to root for her, and I am going to root for her. But I want to be aware as a reader that she is going to have less likable traits. It doesn't make me like her any less, but that's what makes her a complex, a more human-like character. So do you see how I caught myself being defensive? I was trying to make excuses for her, but then I pushed myself to see how some of her traits are not all that likable. This can be challenging because just like family members, friends, people we love, we want to defend the characters we are loving in our stories. So, one of my favorite stories, Harry Potter, I'm going to share this with you. Let me pause this really quick. So, I'm a huge fan of Harry and Harry Potter. He's actually the reason why I fell in love with the story, because he's the true underdog. And I won't give too many spoilers, but the first book, when I read this book, I knew I wanted to teach for any Harry that might be in my room. Now, as much as I love Harry, this scene in particular was really hard for me because we're going to get to see some of his less likable traits. So let's watch what happens.
Katie Bell.
Katie, how are you?
I know you're going to ask, Harry, but I don't know who cursed me. I've been trying to remember, honestly, but I just can't.
You know what you did, Malfoy. You hexed her, didn't you?
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. So that scene is really hard for me because as much as I love Harry, at the beginning of that scene, you see a lot of the traits that are likable about him. He was so caring towards Katie. He was making sure she was okay. He was really protective. But the scene with Draco is really hard because even though Draco does things that make him a less likable character, he was clearly upset when Harry came into the bathroom. He was crying. And Harry was just ruthless. He didn't stop and ask him if he was okay. He just went after him, and then he actually used a curse that he was not supposed to use, and he could have killed Draco in that scene. So that scene's really hard for me, but it's important for the development of Harry's character. So being sort of conflicted over a character isn't just about Mercy or Harry. You might see it with the main character or characters in your book. as you go off to read today, I want you to add this lens to your reading work and push yourself to see the sides of your characters that may be less likable. So I have some ideas that you can do whenever you're working in your notebook, okay? So whether if you're going to choose to stay with the digital notebook or you want to actually write this out on paper, that's up to you. But I want you to go ahead right now and create a new page to focus on the lens of less likable traits for your character. So go ahead and title this page the name of your book and your character. And then this is one that I actually did a couple of years ago, and I sketched out my main character, and then I started kind of listing some likable traits and some less likable traits. So likable traits are on the left. Harry is really likable. He's kind, he's compassionate. Less likable traits, he's angry. You know, we just saw that video. He was very merciless and he was violent. Okay. Last year, I was really into the series I Am Number 4, and I was doing an emotional timeline for the main character, number 4, aka John Smith. So these were just some post-its, and you could do this if you're doing a digital notebook. You could use those post-it templates. But so basically, any time an emotion would pop up in number 4, the main character, I would just write it down on my timeline or on my post-it and then post it on the timeline. So at the beginning of the book, he was lonely, and I gave some examples. He wished he could stay in one place, be normal, and make real friends. Then he felt isolated, alienated. His mentor, Henry, wants him to keep a low profile, doesn't want him to move or change his name anymore. And then I just kept going as I was reading. So the other emotions I jotted down was angry, relieved, guilty, scared, hopeless, joyful, courageous, sad, mournful, heavy-hearted. You know, as I look at this now, 2 years later, 2 or 1, I can't remember when I did this, but I'm seeing all the likable and less likable traits of number 4. It's also making me realize how human, which is ironic because in this story he's actually an alien, but how human this character is, right? Because us as human beings, we know that we have all kinds of emotions, all kinds of good, bad, ugly traits. So, what I want you to do today, you're going to read 30 minutes in your book and you can decide how you want to set up your page. You could take one of mine and make it your own, or you could pick something else. But I want you to actually focus on your character's less likable traits, okay? And then you're going to go into Canvas, the 9/24/2020 assignment in today's module. So, we're in session 4. Upload a screenshot of how you set up your notebook page. So, I want to see at least 4 to 5 traits for your characters, some being less likable, and then I want to see some actual examples from the text, like what I did here, okay? If you guys have any questions, reply in the announcements today or email me, and then don't forget any missing assignments. Please get those in today. I'm in the process of grading them all right now, so be patient with me, but I will get that done for you today, okay? Happy reading, everyone. I can't wait to see the work you're doing in your notebook.